In this tutorial video, I'm going to continue to set up the Netio power switches in Elan. So in the first video, we've installed the driver, we got all the outputs, and we've tested the driver that it works well. In the second one, in this video, I'm going to show you how to connect the interfaces. So part of the driver, we've created some interfaces that you can actually import. So if you create a custom page, you can actually just import the interface from the file that we sent you. If we just want to simply import the on and off, and this will basically give you the setup here. Feel free to change this. This is just a custom layout that we have created, and you can adjust it, change it however you choose to. So let's go to one that I've created. This is the actual button itself, and all we have to do now is connect this button to the appropriate output. So in this case, I'm going to connect it to my output 1. That's off of this switch here, output 1. We can name this output however you want to. That way it becomes a little bit easier to bring it into this. Then you can just basically go down and connect these, and those are the only elements that you have to connect. Everything else is connected for you, other than the names. So now we can connect this to all outputs. The output name here itself is also connected to the Netio itself, output 1, and this comes from the input driver that we installed. And then we can just connect all these things here. And now we have the power switching interface that we can call on. The all is just, and then once we've connected this, copy this into the small format, and in the viewer, if you go to the lighting, and this is the Netio on and off, and you can turn on and off the switches as needed, and that way. You'll have the feedback here, and you can just turn on, or you can turn all of them on at once. So that's the first part, which is just the switches for on and off. And you can do the same thing. We've included an interface for the short as well, and the short one is a bit of a special case. We've created it to where you have 2 buttons on and off, simply because you do need the 2 separate states, because you can actually do multiple ons or multiple offs. So this is the best Elan control that we could use actually for the short, because it's not necessarily short on and off constantly. You can hit multiple short ons if you want to keep turning the device on for 10, 15, 30 seconds, a minute, an hour, and then it turns off automatically by itself. So we've included that interface as well. The second part of this is the summary information. So once you can create a custom page, and we're going to create a custom summary here page. Again, we've created an interface, and all you have to do is import the summary, the Netio summary page, and then just connect the elements. And this summary page is going to get all its information from the input-output driver. So if the Netio device does not support energy management, you do not need to do the summary page, because there's no information that will get out of it. So in our case, we have 2 switches that we can get information from in the summary page. So in the summary page itself, you can just we already have all the elements that are ready to go. You can connect the buttons to whichever switch you want them to turn on and off. So this summary page actually has a little bit more than just information. It can actually control on and off features of the switch itself. Now, in every single one of these bar graphs, we have already kind of given you the idea, the name of what you would need to link it to. So this would be the device, and the label would be Energy 1. So you would choose Energy 1, the Energy 1 label from here. This cost, we'll talk about the cost in a bit, but this is the net for the cost 1. The load, you can pick load 1, and current, you can pick current 1. You can do the same for all of the input, for all of the outputs here, including the general output. And you notice that the general output has two things that the individual specific outputs do not have, and that is voltage. So again, you can connect this to just the voltage here. And this has the frequency, which is the hertz that the switch itself uses. So once you have this, you hit apply, and you can obviously, like I said, connect all these, copy it from the large layout here, so you can copy the fields. And the idea here is, as we start filling this out, this information starts getting filled in as well. We kind of cheated a little bit here, and I've created a custom page that I've already connected all of the elements to. So you could see you already have the feedback, and you get all your kilowatt hours, the cost, how much wattage each port is using, and how many amps it's actually currently at. And then this gives you the total for all outputs. So once you have done this, you have a nice visual graphical display of exactly what's happening with your switch right into Elan. But it doesn't stop here. We've added a lot more features to this driver, and if you go into the input-output under the particular switch itself, you can actually create event maps for any event. So I'll show you how to set up these events, and then you can call on them. Let's say switch 1's current exceeds a certain limit, and you want to have an alarm triggered, or the energy usage, or the power usage. So the energy or the cost. Now the cost is calculated in the driver. You need to add the cost per unit, which is per kilowatt hour, and the currency that you're using, and that'll give you this calculation of the cost field. In the notification, in the triggers, under the usage notification triggers, and you've seen this is a theme in all of our energy monitoring and all of our consumption-based drivers. It's kind of the same logic. In this case, if output 1 and if its current should exceed larger than or 0.2 amps, let's say, and you don't need to put the units, just the values. You can create up to, you have 5 settings that you can create. You can create 5 alarms. So now I've set the parameters for this particular unit. So now in here I can actually create an event map for output 1 current. And I can create this, and I could say, you know, if this event is true, now you remember you've set up all the parameters, so if this event happens, then I want you to do something. You know, I want you to turn it off, or you know, I want you to go ahead and switch this particular thing off once it exceeds a certain amp, or the entire switch. So this is really powerful in managing the switches. You can actually manage the volt. You can do it based on volts. So if a certain volt is exceeded, you can turn off devices and what have you. So this becomes a very powerful way of using this data and actually making it actionable, and not just making it pretty to look at. Now we can actually use it to make decisions and have Elan perform actions for us based on this information. So again, this is not just passive. Now we have taken this information and we've made it active. And that's the power of the input-output driver, and that's the power of connecting these to Elan and making them actionable. And this concludes the installation of the Netio driver. We hope you enjoy it.